All right, so that, what I just showed you is Lion's Head. That's the first one, the pointy one, and then the flat one is Table View Mountain. Those are two like natural iconic landmarks that are here in Cape Town that you see on the postcards, that you see you know, in the movies and what people talk about. Those are just top tourist attractions here. They're natural, and a lot of people want to come check them out, you know. So I'm at Seaside Village, okay, and this is where I was the first time I visited Cape Town. Back in late 2018, December 2018, and I was here for the new year. I got to see the fireworks, which were over there at the same area I just showed you. Not a very good fireworks show, but other than that, I had a great time. The Blue Peter Hotel and Restaurant is right over there. Let me show you. And I hung out there, and I hung out with some people, made some friends, got some videos, and it's a really great place. Good food, good people, and I really enjoyed it. So they have a great menu. They have a lot of good beers. The company is good. In late 2018, early 2019, I was in Cape Town for the first time. All right, and so I'm just going to walk along the beach here while I tell you what I think about Cape Town and South Africa. And this is my 2024 African travel campaign. I've largely neglected Africa during my travels, not for any real particular reason. I only get so much time off of work, so much free time, you know, when I'm teaching in China. So the only times I can travel are during, you know, like the Chinese Spring Festival or during Christmas, you know, and I get time off work for both of those, of course, I always have. And this is my 8th year teaching in China, okay? So it's a good life over there. It's decent money. I'm able to just kind of reset, you know. I'm living in Wuhan again, working in Wuhan. I was in Wuhan for 5 years. Before that, I was in Dalian for 2 years. Back in Wuhan now. Wuhan changed my life. I understand that it's the center of COVID-19 and all of that stuff. I always defend Wuhan because Wuhan changed my life for the better and forever, okay, for a lot of reasons. It helped me turn from a down and out, miserable, broke English teacher, as I like to tell people, into a thriving and prosperous world traveling digital nomad, okay? So I have to defend Chinese culture, Chinese people. I have to defend Wuhan. I cannot defend the Chinese Communist Party. So I had to just give you a little bit of that before I start talking about Cape Town. When I was here the first time, the demographics, okay? This is not your typical African city, or your typical Southern African city, or maybe even your typical South African city, okay? There is a lot of European influence here, and anyone who understands the history of South Africa, they know what apartheid is, okay? Racial segregation. There's a lot of British influence here, a lot of Dutch influence here. But one person I want to really give credit to, and rightfully so, is the great, late Nelson Mandela. Okay, I watched the movie Invictus. I'm not going to judge Nelson Mandela's legacy on a Hollywood movie. I'm not going to do that. I love Morgan Freeman, Matt Damon, but Nelson Mandela, he took over in the early 90s. I want to say it was 92, maybe. And he became the first black president of South Africa, like the anglicized South Africa. And he had a great big challenge, you know, trying to bring people together. You know, one way he did that was he helped to promote the rugby team, the national rugby team, the Springboks. And at that time, they hadn't won any championships. They weren't very good. And, you know, as a heritage traveler, I emphasize race relations. I talk about culture. I talk about things that divide people. I talk about things that unite people. And one thing that Nelson Mandela did, I think, was a brilliant move, because he took, given the racial divide that was going on in South Africa at the time, he took over as president in a very challenging time, in a very challenging place, okay? And he wanted to bring people together, and he did that in one way by helping to promote the national rugby team, the Springboks. And shortly after he came into office, they won their first World Cup, okay? Now the reason why this is critical to understand, Nelson Mandela took a predominantly white sport in a predominantly black country, and he used rugby to bring people together. That's not the only time that sports has brought people together, okay? You can talk about the Detroit, you know, the Detroit baseball team, the Detroit Tigers, the 1960s, late 60s, around 1968, that was the year that changed America. There was a sharp racial divide. Vietnam was going on. Kennedy was killed. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot. 1968. It was around that time the Detroit Tigers, they started playing well. I think they won the World Series, and that brought that city together. That sports team brought that city together. Detroit is a black city, okay? I'm just gonna say it, it's about 82% black. Baseball, especially back then, was a white sport. So there's something about those combinations. When you take a predominantly white sport, a predominantly black place, and you promote that sports team, or you cheer for that sports team, there's some kind of magic in that. Now those are just two examples. Springboks of the early 90s, the Detroit Tigers of the late 60s, and maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe race doesn't matter, maybe Nelson Mandela just became a rugby fan and he wasn't thinking about how it would unite the country. It could have been a coincidence. I don't think it was a coincidence. Nelson Mandela was a smart guy, and he wanted to heal his country from the ugly, racist, segregated apartheid past. Okay, so he used rugby as one way to do it, and it worked. And now, most recently, the South African Springboks have won their more than the New Zealand All Blacks. Okay, they beat, I believe they beat the All Blacks in the championship. So they are the world's best rugby team, and a lot of that can be pointed toward Nelson Mandela in the early 1990s, when South Africa was going through some very critical and very radical kinds of changes. Okay, this is a very beautiful place. This is the Rainbow Nation. I love South Africa. I've only been to Cape Town, I'll admit that. I haven't been to Johannesburg, not even for an airport layover. Never been to Durban. I want to see both of those places. I want to rent a vehicle and I want to drive around. I'm a big road tripper, and those who follow my travels understand how much I love road trips, because you can travel at your own pace, and you can go to places that you can't go if you're not in your own vehicle doing your own driving, stops and goes and all of that stuff. Train travel is also good. They have trains here also. They have the blue train that goes a route from Cape Town to Johannesburg, and it's a luxury train, and you can take that back and forth, Johannesburg to Cape Town and then back. So Cape Town is a very interesting place. It's about 12-13% white. There's a lot of Dutch and British influences here, and other like influences, Portuguese and from other European nations. And then you've got the native, of course, people and the other tribes, and they all come together. And you know what? They all get along. From what I see, I don't really. I read news, world news. I go to different news networks. I read every news network there is, just about. I don't just stick to one. I never really hear about any real racial problems here in South Africa anymore. Okay, I know they exist. I know they're here. There's a lot of land disputes, from the land that was stolen from the native Africans by the white colonizers and all that stuff. There's still issues. There's always going to be racial issues when you have people of different races living together. But what I'm trying to say is, what they do here in South Africa works better than what we do in America. And a lot of it has to do with the politics, with the left-wing radical groups, the right-wing radical groups. I do talk about politics too, by the way, as you just witnessed. I do get into politics. This is an election year, 2024, but I think that if the United States and other places that are diverse, like South Africa, would use their formula, they focus on cooperation, not competition. They believe in equality, not exclusivity. I'm not saying every South African is alike. I'm not trying to pigeonhole people, put people in categories, none of that stuff. But this is my second trip to Cape Town. I can't speak for the rest of South Africa. I've never been to Johannesburg, never been to Port Elizabeth, never been to Durban. I know people from those places. South Africa is a place where people of different ethnic backgrounds live together, and it seems to work. They have a winning formula. And the United States and other places that are diverse, they have all these racial issues. You got people blaming and shaming other people. The politics are ugly. There's sharp social and economic divides. I just think we can learn a lot from the South Africans, a lot from their history, a lot from their own politics, a lot from their own policies, a lot from what they do that seems to work. Okay, here's a beach. There's a beach. There's people surfing. This is Seaside Village Beach, one of the best beaches I've ever seen. All right, you got people of all different backgrounds, cultures, nationalities here together, and everybody's getting along. There's no crimes. Nobody getting shot or killed that I've ever heard of. I know there's crime here. I know there's problems here, but not at the capacity that we see in my own country, the United States. All right, this is a wonderful place. I love Cape Town. I love South Africa, and I want to see more of it. I could live in Cape Town. I could totally live in this city. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Elon Musk is a native South African who's also a Canadian, who's also an American. I think he's got like tri-citizenship or something like that. Don't quote me. I haven't done that much research. I'm pretty sure he has roots in South Africa. Okay, and I just wanted to say that because he's Elon Musk, and I'm a fan of Elon Musk. And like Elon Musk, I'm a conservative. Okay, so another shot there of Pebble View Mountain. Can't really see Lion's Head. It went behind the clouds. There's somebody going to surf. This is great, guys. I love it here. I asked the guy from Zimbabwe. I have two Zimbabwean friends here. They both drive like their own Uber taxi service, and they've taught me a lot of insider, firsthand information about South Africa that I don't learn from, you know, these travel agencies and these travel conferences and what I see on National Geographic, and all of that stuff is very anglicized. If you don't know what anglicized is, I use that term more than once. That means white, okay, or that means more specifically English or British, anglicized, okay. When white colonizers move in, or they used to move into a place, they became transplants. They turned the place into what it was like back home. They brought with them their sports. They brought with them their customs, the English afternoon tea, all of that stuff, okay? So it's safe to say that Cape Town in South Africa, to an extent, was anglicized, okay? Yeah, and people can dispute what I say when I say that, but I know I'm right, okay? Because this is a European version of Africa that we're in right here. But yeah, like I said, it's a very diversified place, and I don't see the problems here like I see in other parts of the world when I travel. I've been around the world. I've been to a lot of places, and it's amazing how people in a place like South Africa, given the ugly, very ugly history that it has, just like the United States, we have an ugly history of racial inequality and gender inequality, okay, and social inequality in general, economic inequality, whatever you want to say. This place right here is great. It's great. They have a winning formula here. They have their problems, they have their crime, they have their racial issues, but not to the capacity as other places like the United States. That's all I'm saying. And I love my country. I believe the United States is the greatest country in the world. But I'm just saying we can learn from the South Africans when it comes to being more cooperative and not so competitive. Okay? And I think, you know, united we stand, divided we fall. The United States is a very divided place, especially right now. Okay, with the issues that we have with inflation and with these left-wing, right-wing radical groups. You know, you got the riots, shootings, all that stuff. I've never heard of that going on in South Africa, anywhere in South Africa. Maybe Johannesburg once in a great while or something, but not in Cape Town, okay? I can't get enough of this beach. I gotta get more alcohol in me, guys. I gotta go back to the Blue Peter and get me some more drinks and hand out some more stickers, because I'm here to promote Outcast, Vagabond, and Dragonfire recruiting. So let me just say one more thing before I cut this long video, before I end it. BRICS. BRICS is an economic bloc made up of several countries, including Russia, Brazil, China, India, you know, and so there is, in the last decade, there's been a large influx of African people coming to China to work, mostly in teaching jobs. A lot of South Africans, okay, because English is spoken here better than it is in a lot of other African countries, and I don't mean that to be an asshole. I mean it to be factual, okay? So I work with a couple of South Africans, also work with someone from Nigeria, someone from Cameroon. There is another teacher from Zimbabwe that works at another school that's a part of the same school that I'm a part of, okay, in Wuhan. So I'm going to try to find, not just promote Outcast Vagabond, but try to find prospective English teachers, candidates that I can get to come live and work in Wuhan with the help of my business partners at Click China Cultural Exchange. And you know, I have Dragonfire Recruiting, which is my recruiting business, but most of the work is being done with my partners, Click China Cultural Exchange there in Wuhan. They helped me find 2 jobs in Wuhan. They're great people, and I'm friends with them, and we're business partners now. So one more shot of the beach, and then I'm going back to the Blue Peter to hand out some more stickers, promote my business interests, and make some new friends. and grow my social network. Cape Town, South Africa, 2024 African Travel Campaign. I'm going to several other countries after this. I wanted to start here because I love Cape Town. Come check out Cape Town, the Rainbow Nation. South Africa is the Rainbow Nation. Cape Town, it's a very magical place. Come check it out. Peace.